Hi everyone, my name is Isla MONICAL. I'm Miss Randolph County's Teen 2024. I'm the founder and creator of You Know Me, Not My Story, and the series You Know Them, Not Their Story. Welcome to episode 12 of You Know Them, Not Their Story, featuring Adrianna Sexton.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. You look so cute.
Yeah, I got a tan. How tan do I look?
You look pretty tan. I mean, definitely tanner than me. My pageant tan has worn off.
I'm always pale, so like this is really different for me. Um, But I'm gonna be like keeping up the tan now. So I'm really excited about that. Because I like when I'm tan. I don't really like when I'm the color of paper. Like I feel like I'm that pale, honestly. But now I'm
I,
cute and I'm sun-kissed.
yes, I'm kind of just used to being pale and being in a cheer uniform and just accepting it.
Hmm.
And then I sweat it off at practice, so I don't really see much of the point. But I wish I could tan as much as possible because I love being tan.
All right, let's get right into this. Tell me a little bit about your CSI.
So my CSI is called Solve, Save Ocean Life Vigilantly Every Day, and it is all about saving our oceans and the marine life within it. 8 million tons of pollution end up in our oceans each year, and so many of our marine lives are going extinct and being threatened because of what us humans do to the ocean. And one of the big ways is like throwing stuff out of the car windows, like trash, and just not using reusable things. We use a lot of one time use things and we don't throw them away properly. And that's a really big thing that causes all of the pollution to go into the ocean.
Mhm. So since this is called You Know Them, Not Their Story, what is your story?
So I started getting kind of into the marine life world when I was about 8 years old. I kind of started to learn about like dolphins and just all of the marine animals. And as I got older, I started to see how some of them are going extinct, some of them are in danger. And when I finally got to the age where I could actually do something, that's when I started a baking business where I baked goods and I would sell them, and all of the proceeds would go to a aquarium in Clearwater, Florida. And I obviously stopped doing that because I'm not into baking as much, but that is really why I created Solve so that I could raise money to go towards our marine life and help cleaning our oceans and also giving ways that you can volunteer cleaning the beaches or donating to good organizations and working with other organizations as well.
What are some organizations that you recommend?
One of my favorites is the North Carolina Coastal Federation. It is located in around Morehead City area, so kind of towards you. We have a place down there, and they're about 5 minutes from our place, and they are so good about making sure that they are advocating for the right things, and they show the real life scenarios that our coastlines are actually going through with how dirty they are. And one of their mottos is to save 1 mile of ocean at a time. And so they are really big on doing ocean cleanups and coastline cleanups because our coastlines in North Carolina are sadly so dirty. And that is really what makes our oceans end up looking not as crystal clear blue waters as they used to be.
Yeah, so I understand that you live around Sanford, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why, as someone who doesn't live close to beaches or anything like that, why is this your CSI?
So I am in high school still, but once I graduate high school, I plan on going to the University of Tampa in Tampa, Florida, and getting my PhD in marine biology, specializing in prey and predator. So, really, Solve came about because of my love for the ocean. I've always said I wanted to live at the beach and that I wanted to live near the ocean. And then as I got older and I figured out, like, oh, I can do a job that is related to the ocean where I can literally be swimming with these animals every single day, that's when I really started looking into ways that I could help the ocean before I could actually go and work with it because I can't work with the ocean professionally until I obviously have my degree, but that doesn't mean that I can't help them. And that is why it is so important for me to advocate for helping our oceans at a younger age because us teenagers can do so much that we don't realize we can do. We think you have to have a whole degree for it when really you don't. And I love being able to advocate down here when I'm competing. I love being able to advocate saying, look, I live 4.5 hours away from the beach, but I still do these things just sitting at my home, using a reusable water bottle, using reusable bags, making sure I'm throwing my trash away properly, different things like that. It doesn't matter where you are, it always can end up in the ocean. That trash can always end up in the ocean some way through a drainage system. And you really do, even if you live in the mountains, you really do need to make sure you are taking care of our earth because it all leads back to one thing and it all can lead into the ocean.
So I'm sorry, how can we make our environment a better and safer place for the animals that inhabit it?
So, like I said, one of the big things is using reusable water bottles to make sure that our plastic water bottles aren't going into the ocean as much. Making sure that we are not throwing things out the car door like trash and stuff because it's really not good. They can just easily, when it rains, it's been raining here, so I'm seeing so much trash in flowing down streams and stuff, and those streams lead to the ocean some way, somehow. And so that's how it ends up in the ocean. And to really make it better, I love to advocate on my social medias. And I advocate by doing Make It Change Monday, which is where you can, it's different ways that you can make a change, whether that's donating to supportive federations and organizations, whether that's teaching you a way to reuse something instead of throwing it away right after you use it. But really making the little things always add up. And that's always what I tell the judges in an interview. I'm like, little things add up to be big things, especially when all of us come together and do it.
So how have you made a difference?
For me personally, I think I've made a difference by showing that I want to make the change, creating my CSI and showing that I was doing this before I created my CSI with my background. And I currently am working on reusable bags that have my slogan, Solve, Save Ocean Life Vigilantly Every Day. And they'll be giving those out at pageants and possibly selling them for a low price. I will also be giving so many to local grocery stores and different stores around my area and asking them to hand them out as for free to like every 1 in 5 customers, things like that, and hoping and praying that they see like they just see that slogan, whether they look it up or not, that's okay as long as they're like, oh, maybe I should use this bag instead of using this 17 plastic bags because those plastic bags can end up in the ocean and can endanger sea turtles, dolphins, and so many other marine animals.
Absolutely. So I have an entire bag of plastic grocery bags in my house. And when I use them, they're mainly for trash. So what is an alternative that I can use other than that plastic grocery bag?
I'm not perfect. We don't, my family, like yours, don't always use reusable bags. I really do try to make sure I am, but I am going to show that I'm not perfect and I do sometimes use them. So we have the same thing. We have a bag full of plastic bags. It's not the point of using them as much as so many people will just go to the gas station, for example, grab a snack on a road trip, and then they just throw it out the door, the window. It's making sure that they're put properly in the trash can, or like you're doing, you reuse them. So once you take all your groceries out, you put them in there, and oh, I need to put this in like I need to put clothes in a grocery bag, throw it in a grocery bag. I think it's really important to just make sure that it's being disposed of properly. whether that's in a trash can or a recycling can. That's really what I'm trying to advocate for because there's really only one answer personally that I believe in for alternatives of not using plastic bags, and that is using reusable bags. That costs like 99 cents at the dollar store. But I understand, like, oh, what do you want me to do with all of the bags I already have? Like, I want to make that change, but what do you want me to do? And that is why I say find good uses for them, but make sure they're being thrown away once they are ready to go to the trash properly.
Hmm. Thank you for that. Who or what inspired you to compete in the Miss America system?
So I started competing in the Miss America system when I was around 7 or 8, actually, as a what they're now called Carolina Sisters, but I was a Carolina Princess. Um, and I got into it from Montana Wright, who is a former Miss Randolph County's outstanding teen. And I was her Carolina Princess star. And I kind of took a break once she kind of leaned away from pageantry. Um, and then I just got back into it last year, actually, just kind of from seeing posts. I obviously always knew that the Miss America organization was a great system and such a supportive system that had amazing aspects and attributes to it that I could gain so much from scholarships, friendships of lifetime, so many opportunities. But I never thought I would actually get back into it. And then last year I was like, I don't want to get back into it. So I actually turned in my paperwork on the last day of Miss Randolph County's due date last year when it was outstanding teen still, and I prepared as quick as possible, but with not a lot of time. It was like 3 weeks before the pageant, and I really was just going out there to have fun. I had no idea what was really going to be going on. I never did interview, never walked on a stage like that, never wore a big ball gown. And honestly, my talent was not the best. I sung, but I'm not really a singer. I'm more of a dancer. But I was like, I don't have time to choreograph a dance and I don't have time to get somebody else to it. I guess I'm singing. And I went out and I did my best I could. I had fun. I met Parker Sterling and Jenna Clements and so many other amazing girls. Tori Gross. And, I got first runner up, which was an absolute amazing accomplishment for me. And seeing the people that, to me, I didn't even know at the time, but when I went home and looked them up, they were actually really important people in the system coming up to me that night and saying, "Hey, congratulations. I hope to see you back again. I really think you have a future in this." It really made me say, like, oh, let me actually do this full throttle and go for it. And that's when I started this year from the very beginning to the very end to as many as I could do. And it's been honestly a blessing. I mean, that's how I met you. It's how I met Emily. I've met so many other girls. And I mean, I told, I've told so many people this. It doesn't even feel like a competition to me at this point. When I'm backstage with you girls, it more feels like just a recital, like a dance recital for me, because I did those my whole life. And that's what I love about it. We have a sisterhood that we all come together and we're just one big happy family and sisterhood. And that's really kind of how I got into it. And I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon for sure.
Hmm. All right, well, we're all done. I know
Yay.
it went by pretty fast for me.
It feels like it. Yes, it
Mhm.
really does. But it was fun.
But it was really fun. I love that you came on. You were able to spread your brand new CSI. Am I right? Brand new.
Yes, it was.
That's really exciting. What
It's
was
two
that?
pageants in.
What was that change like?
It was scary, to be honest. It was something that I said I had kind of talked to my mom about and my coach about, but I didn't really know when I was going to do it. And I had a little bit of a break in between two of my pageants, and I was just praying about it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it because what can it hurt? It can't, is kind of what I just kept telling myself. And I actually changed my talent the same time.
Yeah.
So I went from singing to dancing, which I feel much more comfortable doing now. Um, and I went from a mental health based CSI to a ocean conservation CSI. And both are so important to me. I still talk about my mental health and how I love to advocate for it in interview and on stage. But I truly think that it was God saying, I want you to go for the ocean conservation. And I went for it, and I haven't looked back since. And I love it. I love doing what I'm doing with my CSI. And I'm extremely grateful and blessed for how big it's gone in such a short period of time now.
Yeah. So like, yeah, God was telling you like advocate for my animals,
Yeah.
advocate for the world that I've built. Yeah, absolutely. Um,
I I told judges in my last pageant, actually, I was like, we have to travel out of this country to see crystal blue waters that we all love to see, like lagoons. But, God created the whole world like that, actually. And it's just that us humans kind of have mistreated it almost. And though at the same time, some things are going to happen, just like it happened, we can't fix it. But let's try and do as much as we can fix it. And that's really what I advocate. Like, my goal is I want to be able to have crystal blue waters again on the coastlines of North Carolina for all of us to go to and enjoy. So I always try to bring my faith back into it, and that this is God's world and we're just living in it, and that we need to thank Him every day for the world He gave us and the animals He gave us to be able to go look at.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I understand about the whole cheating CSIs. It can be so difficult and nerve-wracking going into your first competition with a brand new everything, a brand new talent, brand new CSI. That has to be difficult. I know my CSI has always been based around mental health because my journey with mental health has been a very prominent part of my life. So I knew that I wanted to talk about it in interview and kind of spread awareness about the factors of mental health and how to help today's youth during my reign. So it first started out as something called Easy as Pie, which was positivity, inspiration, and education. I went into the Miss Spivey's Corner competition just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. And I'm just gonna do a pageant. And here we are. And then I went into my next season. I did three competitions. The first competition, it was called Piece of Cake, Confidence, Ambition, Kindness, and Education. And then I went back 3 months later with You Know Me, Not My Story. And I kind of just stuck with it because I made an Instagram account for it. I created a podcast, and this is just like a part of my life, and I don't see it ever leaving me. This is a part of me. This is what is considered my legacy. Through my reign as Miss Randolph County's team, but also through my life and through who ILA MONICAL is as a person. When you look up ILA MONICAL on the internet, you'll find, first of all, you'll see my Instagram account because it's always there because Instagram sponsors themselves to be on Google. I know that for a fact because every single time I like Google a name, that is always the first thing that comes up. And then you'll find my YouTube and you'll find You Know Me, Not My Story. And that's such a crazy part of my life that I'm just so passionate about. Um, but I think one of the main things that kind of drew me into You Know Me Not My Story was I came up with it solely. I was the only person to come up with it. I came up with the entire podcast. It was all me. And I think that's why I was so passionate about it. Because I knew I was putting forth something that I created by myself for other people. I didn't create it for me. I didn't create this podcast for me because, podcasts were all the rage. I created it because there are people out there who need help. There are people out there who need an outlet. There are people out here that need to know your story, need to know my story, need to know Ashley's story, Cedriana's story, Emily's story. They need to know everyone else's story to know that they're not alone. That was my biggest thing. People need to know that they're not alone in their hardships, in their insecurities. Sorry about my dogs barking if you can hear that.
I can relate.
My brother just got home with food, so that's why. They're probably hungry. But yeah, you're putting your best foot forward with this. This is
Yeah,
an amazing accomplishment.
thank you. And you saying like you started, Me Not My Story on your own. Like me and my mom had talked about me changing my CSI, yeah, but she she didn't really have like she obviously supported me 100%. Like she's my biggest supporter. She's my little angel on my shoulder at all times. But I came up with what I call my slogan: solve, save ocean life vigilantly every day. I created a word and made them align with every single thing. And I get asked in my podcast, my interview, why I created solve and like why I created that word and why I created all of the what the letters stood for. And I mean, I have to break it down quickly because it's only 9 minutes of an interview, but I break it down because I want to save the ocean life vigilantly. Vigilantly means every day, nonstop, whatever you're doing. And for me, that's when I take a sip out of me and you are Stanley girls. I know we both have our Stanleys.
Sweetie.
um, but when I take a sip out of the metal water bottle that I'm drinking out of, I'm doing it. I'm doing that every sip I take. When I'm using a metal fork that I packed in my lunchbox for lunch at school instead of using the plastic forks at school, I did I'm making that change. And that is why I'm so passionate about it. I did not have an Instagram or a Facebook or a YouTube for mentalist physical. My old CSI kind of was just something I kept saying when I have this title or when I'm holding this crown, when I'm doing my reign. But when I created Solve, I said no, crown or no crown, I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it. And that is what I did. I took it and I ran with it and I created the Instagram, the Facebook, and the YouTube. And I mean, I love the support that I see. Like, my grandma is my biggest supporter on Facebook. I'll say it. She's always commenting on my videos and my posts. I'm so proud of you, love you. But, just because I'm so thankful for that because those people that comment those little tiny messages probably don't know, but they mean the world to me and they make me so much happier and like, they make me think like I'm doing something good and I'm doing something right. And, my pastor, he's like, you're advocating for God's world. You are saying that we need to fix what we messed up because God made it perfect. And we want God to be happy with what we're doing in our lives. And if that means we're saving the animals in the ocean that he created, then he's happy. So it's the support around me is something that I really am thankful for and is pushing me to even do more in with advocating for Solve.
Mhm. Absolutely. Mhm. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You did a great job. I'm so incredibly proud of you, and I'm really excited to see where your journey goes.
Thank you. I'll be at Miss North Carolina cheering all of you on. I got too many of you just to choose one, but it's everybody.
Great. All right. I'll see you at Miss North Carolina.
Bye, Isla. Thank
Of
you.
course.